Oh, okay. I must have missed those. I'll have to look for them. Let me see. Uh-huh. That's a good one. Uh-huh. Did you claim your card yet? So that's what that guy is, right? Okay. Uh-huh. Mm. Okay, that's what. Mhm. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Mhm. Yeah. People buying flawless, they got some money to drop. Yeah, I actually thought about getting flawless, like those the basketball ones for 500. I don't know if they're still at price now. I thought about it just to like kind of do some investing, or just like open them, crack them, and then flip them. But hmm, oh yeah, mm-hmm, yeah, dude, he's like the Charizard right now. Mm-hmm. Mickey Mantle. Mm-hmm. I really like that you have I really like that you have some of the collegiate cards. Like I went to OU. So obviously like I don't watch too much football, but I try to like follow my players where they go. Like I was actually in school with Sam Bradford when he got drafted. So like it was cool to see him, even though he kind of like fizzled out, didn't do as great as people thought he was gonna be. But it was still cool. It was still cool to see Adrian Peterson do some stuff with the Vikings. Kyle Murray, yeah, yeah. I mean, all those guys are really cool. I think actually I started college right like the year after he got drafted to Minnesota. So hey, hey, everyone has their journey. Mm-hmm. I don't even judge that because, like, well, so coming out of school, because I was going out of state, I'm not from Oklahoma, so I paid out of state tuition. And it was expensive. And so I have a lot of student loans. I paid down a hell of a lot, like, majority of it, which is great. For me, but I've been fortunate enough, like, I've been privileged enough to kind of have that. But even still, like, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Like, I'm just this 18-year-old kid, didn't realize, and I'm signing up for like 54,000, you know? You're an automotive? Or that's really cool cuz I'm actually in the automotive as well. But I do, yeah, yeah, I'm on the website marketing like data analysis side of it, yeah. So, all the brands, work with all of them. So, mhm. Yeah, seriously. It's so random that I do this stuff. And it's funny too, like we have, like, my team, we have morning stand-ups, and they know that, like, I have a podcast. They know that I do Pokemon and stuff like that. And so, they don't really know, but they don't really know, like, what's up with Pokemon. They don't realize how big it is. But my boss was making fun of me the other day. She's like, one of these days you're just gonna go up and leave us because you bought a Charizard, and it's gonna, be your retirement or whatever. You're gonna be able to just quit your job. And I'm like, well, that would be nice. But mhm. 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 For sure. For sure. Like, yeah, it's yeah, and I mean, it is what it is. Like, they have their own opinions, and it's okay, and that's fine. Like I have a few coworkers that do crypto and that also invest in some stock, and so every now and then we talk about it and we talk a little bit of trash. I'm like, oh yeah, so that Neo stock, or that stock that's been going down. You want to know what's even better to buy than that? Pokemon. Pokemon. Mhm. 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 Yeah. Yeah, it's I'm really excited about it. I'm really curious to see what'll happen in the future once. So I mean, okay, so when we were kids, we grew up with Pokemon. Now we're at an age where we have disposable income and we can buy these things, and we have an advantage because we have the money first. So we're getting it obviously at a lower price than what later generations will be able to see it as. So I'm really curious as to what happens when this current generation who's growing up with Pokemon, what they do with it in the future. Like, obviously, because they grew up in the modern era, they're going to really cherish those. And so we'll probably see the same kind of growth that we're seeing with vintage. So then, are they going to care about vintage? Are they not? We'll care about vintage, so I think it'll hold the value. But are they going to try to get vintage? Like, is it going to be that premium where they're just priced out, Um, yeah. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Champion's Path, Darkness Ablaze, Vivid, they're all doing the same thing. And I mean, what were we talking about the other day? I think the boxes, Fortnite boxes, were now selling for 140, 150, right? Something like that. Something like that. Yeah. It's it. All right. Cool. We are live. This is awesome. I'm so excited. Okay. So we'll get started really quickly. We'll do a quick intro. We've got Modern Card 1 from IG with us, Joe from Modern Card 1. And yeah, this is awesome. I'm really excited to have you on. So I guess the first thing that we can start with is really quickly, like, tell us about yourself and how you are as a collector. Yeah.
All right. So I started getting back into the hobby around 2017. As you know, I got really interested in football cards and their autographs. And growing up in the 1996, I mean, Pokemon was always there. You know, there was always that desire to get the Charizard card. And after kind of watching how football was working again and, you know, going through my cards that I found at my house, I started to see the patterns there. And I don't know, it just excited me once these Charizards started coming out.
Oh, yeah. Is Charizard like, because you have so many of them, is Charizard like your card? That's it. That's your Pokemon?
That's really what I deal with. I mean, it's very hard. There's a lot of different options to choose from, and I can't stay on top of all of them. But like I've said, there's a Superman for everything. Granted, you know, there's Charizard and Pikachu, but I don't see people waiting outside of Walmart for 2 days for Pikachu cards yet, at least.
Mm-hmm. Everyone just loves a fire-breathing dragon. I feel like that's my theory. You know, when you're a kid, you saw Pokemon. You see Pikachu is obviously the face of the brand, which is cool. But then you got this really cool, like, dragon that spits fire. We love that shit.
We do. It goes across everything. It doesn't matter what it is. There's some type of dragon. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean.
Oh yeah, blue-eyed dragon.
It always follows it. I don't know where it came from or why we enjoy that so much, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what's really cool about your collection, and I know we've been talking about this. You have a bunch of different things. You've got vintage Pokemon, modern Pokemon, and then you also do football, and then you also do Fortnite. So I mean, as far as you know, expanding into these other collectibles, because obviously you started with sports cards and you just really love Pokemon. What made you initially see Fortnite and start getting into it and finding the opportunity?
So I've never played the game, but I've heard about it. You know, I've heard how many younger kids play this game, even up to people my age. I mean, I did not play it because for any reason, it just wasn't part of what I was able to do in a day. But to see something go across that many different age groups and then start to see the virtual reality part to start to come into it. And I mean, there's a following there that's didn't grow up in 1996. It's growing up now. So you got to have different age groups, you know? I mean, it's just like anything. So you got old vintage cars, you got modern cars. I mean, there's just different demographics for each type of collectible. And for the price you could get them for, it was worth a shot. I mean, I got those Series 1 for $30. I mean, if I lose $30, what's the worst that happens?
Nothing. Nothing. You're just spending money it's okay if you lose. So
Exactly. You got to put feelers out in different places. I mean, don't go gunning right off the bat. You have no idea what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
And that's really what I started to do with the modern series cards, and I think that they're exceptional. I mean, I bought the Burning Shadows Charizard in 2017. I think it was $400, but that was something I chose to buy as something to watch, to start to learn how this new style of Charizard was going to pan out. Mm-hmm. And it was that one came out and it had that misprint on the bottom, which also initially got my attention. Whether people think it's an actual error or not, it's not supposed to be there. So mm-hmm. there's something different. And then there was the fact that you needed to open like 1,000 packs to even get it, then do the PSA whole service. So I mean, geez, it just stacks up. I mean, how the odds of getting these. I mean, and then as soon as the shiny version of that one came out, that was when I knew there was something that was happening there. Mm-hmm. there was this desire for this first one, and they knew it, and they did it again. And then after they did that one, Champion's Path came out. Mm-hmm. Champion's Path got people even crazier. It's the same cards. It's a rainbow card and a shiny card. I mean, this thing just keeps happening. And I knew at some point one of these was going to be the big one. There was going to be that first edition shadowless version, except it was going to be made in a modern time. It was going to be made by scarcity. Mm-hmm. And that's what the tournament Charizards were. There was this new... I think he froze on me. Oh,
sorry about that. Yeah, we're back. Yeah. So you, the last I heard was you talking about the tournament Charizards. So like, tell me about those, because I didn't really know about those until, until you brought them up.
I think I lost you.
Are you here? Joel, come back. Can you hear me, Joel? We will give Joel a few minutes. It's all good. All right, guys, I know we have some people on the stream. We will give Joel a little bit. Have some internet difficulties, but it's all good. He'll be back.
All right. Am I back on?
Yeah, I hear you.
Let me turn on the video here. I don't know what just happened, but...
It's all good. Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, we were talking about the modern tournament Charizards.
Yes, let's talk about that.
So, as this pattern came out, there was the Burning Shadows, there was the Hidden Fates, mm-hmm. which I didn't buy until almost a year after it came out. I actually bought the rest of my modern cards, like right as I pretty much saw Logan Paul starting to do something with this.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So right up to it.
That was a big signal for me too. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, like I said, I knew they were going to drop some type of big Charizard. Like there was enough here where there had to be this the top. There had to be the big one, and they did it. There was the HR Tournament Charizard. There was initially 600 made, and there was also a competition qualifier version, which was the V version, and that one only had 2,400 made.
Mm-hmm.
So the initial price off of these to even get them from Japan, if you're going through eBay, I mean, I don't have any connections or any special connections, so, and I certainly wasn't going to win this tournament, was to pay like $7,000.
Gosh.
And it was just like ungraded from overseas during COVID, where you run the risk of, packages and dealing with delays and getting difficulty to get. And I'm like, man, this thing is just going to be one of the hardest things ever to get. You can't pull it. There's no way to get them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I, as soon as one got put up pretty much for the BGS, I jumped on them. I wasn't gonna miss this. I'd already followed Charizard as it was in the modern era. I wasn't gonna miss out on this one.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, most definitely. And I mean, that's like the really nice thing that you've kind of taught me when it comes to modern, even though we're seeing really high print runs, or assumably very high print runs for everything. I mean, even now we're seeing a reprint of Hidden Fates, which is a super beloved set for a lot of people, a ton of people. So, but again, like what you were saying, building in that scarcity with the pull rates, kind of trying to balance those two. So still making it nice and spicy for the secondary market when that stuff hits, but then also being able to, get their money on the front end.
Yeah, make it available. Make it for anybody to have this chance of, getting the golden ticket, I guess you could say. Now, especially as people are learning, like, how much money these things can actually be worth. And, and that's what Pokemon does. They put it in everyone's hands, and it's just very clever. So they just know, all right, we just got to make this thing harder to get. I mean, I think I just saw, I don't know how accurate it is, just came out, but I think it's Vivid Voltage. They said that pull rate for that, the hyper rare, it was like one in 1,000. That's like the Burning Shadows one. I mean, that's hard to pull. You got to drop some serious cash, even at retail, just to, have the assurance that you're going to get it.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, Going Twice, I don't know if you follow them on Instagram, but they're really cool guys. They're auctioneers, actually, for a lot of Pokemon product. And they do a lot of grading. They send a lot of stuff out to grade. And Travis from Going Twice, he opened up the other day. He did a live for, I don't know, like 7 to 10 Champion Path ETBs. And no Charizard. A ton of really cool Weedles. I mean, like, the pulls weren't that great. Like, I wasn't super amazed. And we're talking about, like, 7 to 10 different boxes. Like,
True, but
it's, are you feeling lucky?
What those ETBs do, which is clever also, is, the pull rate's better, but you're only getting 10 cards at a time. So everything gets cut in half. So you're still, and these things are charging crazy premiums for these Champions Path. I mean, if you tried pre-ordering them, you were waiting months. I mean, it was nuts. And it was just insane. And then, you got the odds of pulling these things, which isn't exactly fantastic. So you're just ripping them. That's why I've opened 2 boxes. I pulled the one card I wanted, which was the English version of the Tournament Charizards. Got nothing on the other one, and have just saved the other 2 because I came across one of the other boxes at a store because I got lucky, and I've just saved it. Because I mean, the reality is odds aren't super great you're going to be pulling that thing, but odds are pretty good that people are going to want the thing with the package with the big shiny Charizard on it.
Oh hell yeah! And I was going to say, like, you have the English version of that Tourney Charizard. I think that's a good get. I think that's a good opening. I'd call that a win.
Oh my God, yeah. And they're just 2 different things. There's the the hyper rare, which was big from Burning Shadows. They did the shiny, which was big from Hidden Fates, and of course from the past prior, but they're doing this stuff in a specific order. And then what comes out next? The VMAX version of the shiny card.
Yeah.
I still think there's going to be a gold one dropped at some point. I mean, I don't want to because I don't know how I'm ever going to get it. Because, man, if you think there's hype now, wait till a gold one ever gets dropped. And which is amazing that people don't look at the Japanese version one. I mean, that one's pretty cool.
Honestly, the Japanese cards, I feel like sometimes they do get slept on. And, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. We can't read it if you don't speak Japanese, you can't read it. But those cards are such beautiful cards. I don't think I've seen a weird looking Japanese card.
No, I mean,
they're
they are
so
by
cool.
far better looking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just the borders, the attention, but it's just that's not what's big over here. I mean, there's the English, but then you start getting into a realm where some of the highest profile cards are only Japanese. You can't
Mm-hmm.
like there's all the tournaments and
Illustrator.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
Illustrator, like these are cards that are never going to be forgotten, and they're just in a league of their own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And
Yep.
and kind of going back to the pull rates for the boosters, it's been a long time since like I've looked at this or read articles on it, but I remember a few modern sets ago, for the booster boxes, actually some of those people were mapping those booster boxes. I don't know if you remember that. So I don't know if that's still the case with these current sets. I haven't heard anyone talk about it. I haven't really looked for it myself. I don't know if you're familiar with the booster box mapping.
Oh, I'm not.
No,
I'll have to take a look at that.
yeah, pretty much a few years ago, you can find YouTube videos of people. You take out the packs in a certain and you lay them in a certain kind of way. So you got to be careful like how you lay them. And then it's like you skip two, and then the third one you open up and you'll get like a shiny or just a hyper rare or something really good. You'll hit that pack, and then you put down two, and then you grab a third one, and then you open that up, and you go through your stacks like that, and you can open up the packs with all of the good cards. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
And then so what people were doing, I can't remember what sets it was. Shit, I wish I could remember, but yeah. So what was happening is they were warning people like, hey, don't buy these single packs because they're the ones that people are getting rid of if they figured it out the mapping of the boxes.
Yeah, and that's why I fell in love with the modern, because everywhere I'm looking, there's just so many ways to scan the system, and that's what also brings them value when you have the real versions of them. They're hard to get, man. I mean, you're either shelling out dough or you're getting lucky because somebody hasn't weighed a pack or mapped it out or figured out all the little ways to get around. I mean, the odds are stacked against you hard there.
Oh, for sure.
But geez, I mean, I didn't expect the price of the wheels to go as much as they did, but I guess it just comes from age. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I know, right? Like when I saw, so the first edition Shadowless cards that I have, I was buying them PSA 10s, and I was kind of getting the cheaper ones. I was getting the commons and the uncommons because they were like, it made me feel comfortable going in those price ranges. 35, 40, 50. I think the most I spent on a card was $65, right? And so it was crazy to me when I realized that it was growing. It was continuing to grow, and then all of a sudden it like 6x'd. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh my God. And so like what I was telling you earlier, I really thought about selling all my cards because I saw green, I saw all this green. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't realize that it would grow or appreciate to a point where I could make my money back. But then I realized that like, I sold that $60 pack, that unopened unlimited pack. I sold it when I shouldn't have. And just thinking about that lesson where like that hurt so bad when I started seeing those cards, grade PSA 10s and then sell, in like at first they were going for like 500 or 600, and then all of a sudden you see them go for 12, and then now they're at whatever they are now. I can't remember. I think I saw an unlimited pack. Someone was trying to sell it for 8,000 on Instagram, and it wasn't even weighed, or it wasn't even a heavy one. They weighed it and it was light. So I'm just thinking to myself, like, come on, So with that lesson, I actually listed my PSA 10 first edition Shadowless Machop on eBay, and I listed it for like $300 because that's what it was going at the time. And I put open to offers, and I think the lowest I would accept offer wise was like $285 or something like that. And this guy messaged me and he's like, I will give you $280 for it right now, but it keeps on rejecting. So I think he was new to eBay. He didn't understand. And then I realized like, hold up, let me take this off right now. And so I'm so glad that I did. Because I love the card. Machop is one of my favorite characters. I love the fighting Pokemon. But but also too, like, let's see this through. Let's stay the course and continue to see these cards grow and see what they do, because literally nothing bad is going to happen to just sit on it. Nothing bad.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on your price point that you got into it, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you got the time to wait, I mean, it's not going anywhere, man. This is the art for our generation, whether we like it or not. Like, you're not going to buy a painting right now if you're 30 years old. Most of us, I mean, you're thinking about the stuff, you know, when you were younger, and holy crap, that thing's worth a ton of money now. I got some cash. I still can't get this thing.
Right.
It just drives a desire that never left from the time you were 6 years old.
Right.
It's been out of reach your whole life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it just brings a level of excitement. You know, it's amazing. And of course you have people coming in that use these as tools for Instagram to get followers and get people's attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people get nervous that Logan Paul says stuff like, "I'm not going to invest in it anymore." He's invested like $300,000. Like, the dude's in it. You just got to sit and wait sometimes. And he's just a small part of something that's already been here. I mean, you got guys like Unlisted Leaf, who's been doing this for forever.
Mm-hmm.
And Gary from Pawn Star. These are all just people that stand out in this market and are reasons why this stuff is, or clues as to why this is growing and even bigger than it is.
Oh, for sure. And I'm glad that you bring up Gary, because over the past week or so, I've been thinking about reaching out to him to get him on the podcast, because the one thing that I want to know, what made him get Pokemon? Like, what made him just get the Charizards? And I think the story goes is that he just liked them, and so he just collected them, and then that's what it turned into, right? But beyond that, like, beyond just like, what patterns did he see, what signs did he see to make him really see, okay, this can definitely be a thing, and this is something that you need to take seriously. Which, I mean, whether or not he did take it seriously in the beginning, he did after a while start to take it seriously, when he started.
I heard he had to travel to different places to get these things. I mean, you got to care or know something or have some type of drive to go do that. I mean, it's the same way I feel like I'm feeling with these Fortnite cards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see a certain amount of people who truly enjoy them. And, out of the gate, there's some cards for Fortnite that have never been less than like $4,000. I mean, there's only been a couple posted, but
the Black Knight, Lux.
Yeah, it's brand new. I mean, Jesus, right out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And, it drives a level of scarcity. They're hard to pull.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's got all the makings there of something that, people can really start to enjoy, like Pokemon was for our age group, and is still for a lot of younger people. But, they're not experiencing the old school Charizard. I mean, maybe in evolutions, but now there's a different tier or a different style of Charizard coming out to make a stance.
Oh yeah, and what I have been impressed with Pokemon and Nintendo when it comes with the newer cards is that they do try to innovate. They are trying to bring innovation when it comes to, like, the texture of the card, the fact that there are these really, really cool shiny cards, these gold cards, like it does make sense how the cards have evolved in terms of their art and their style, which I still really appreciate. And I mean, at the end of the day, I still prefer vintage, but that's just because that's the nostalgia for me. But I can't talk any kind of shit about the modern cards. I mean, I really don't, from that perspective, I have a problem with them at all.
Yeah,
they're so cool.
At some point, they're going to be vintage also. I mean, there's cards that are worth a fortune that aren't the original 1996. I mean, they're just hyped because you can't get them, time goes on. I mean, if you're thinking just within a 1 to 2 year period, you're thinking too small, it's unless somehow Pokemon Go goes out and off and nobody uses it and people stop getting interested in this stuff. I don't think it's going to be a lot of slowing down. I mean, of course there will be price checks. I mean, prices are going to go down if they go to crazy amounts. I mean, everything can't be worth a fortune, but don't panic. That's when you want to actually go back into it. Like, I would go back into modern vintage a little bit more if the people got nervous and started selling stuff, and it's the best time to do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, because, and we talked about this earlier, like other hobbies that are older than Pokemon, you know, you can take those lessons because those patterns are there, right? So taking a lesson from Magic the Gathering, Magic the Gathering booster boxes, for the most part, over the years, have appreciated every single year. You know, and obviously depending on the set and, you know, what's happening during that time, and how people are feeling about the market at that time, will, you know, obviously dictate their appreciation. But,
Yeah,
you know, you're still looking at 10%, 12%. That's a mutual fund. That's a really good performing mutual fund
that's
in a
incredible.
box. Yeah. Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, there's more work you got to put into it. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
can't just click a button like on stock markets now. When you just go sell and get your money back.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but that's where I think it's important, especially for sellers or people are going to be doing this all the time, is to make getting that card feel as stress free as possible. You know, like if
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to sell a card for $5,000, you just believe I'm going to put it in a damn OtterBox and I'm going to send it to you like it's a $5,000 card.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, that's the last thing I want to be worried about is this thing coming in a cardboard box?
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Like tracking, insurance, all nine yards. All
Yep,
nine
and
yards.
eventually it's just people are going to take advantage of that, and you best believe I'm going to those people before I go to anybody else. I'll pay
Yeah.
the extra $30 for the case.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, Jesus.
For the, you know, the peace of mind knowing that you're not getting something that's resealed, you know, that's going to be taken care of. Because I've gotten cars before, or I've gotten boxes of stuff before where it, you know, they somehow in the shipping it punctured a hole through the box and through the shipping box, and so it puts a dent in my actual box, and it's kind of frustrating, but you know, it is
Yeah,
what it is. Like, that's annoying. So
that's like my Fortnite box, the big white one. I mean, it came and there was a big tear in the
yeah.
seal.
Yeah, like what
So,
the
they
heck.
didn't tell me there was a tear in it. There was no seal left over in the box. So I know that it was ripped before it came to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
just tell me that. Like, this is part of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
shipping is the scariest
Absolutely.
part of it all. That's like sending stuff out to PSA. You got risk every time that thing leaves your house.
Oh my God. I don't know if you saw my post, but I've got a Cristiano Ronaldo rookie card.
Hmm.
And I just and it's so like a PSA 10, I think a few weeks ago was selling like for 14. It's been selling really nice, like 14, 1600. And what's funny, the story about this card is I got it about a year and a half ago in a lot for $2.
Nice.
So I got this really, really nice card for a really good price, and I just shipped that earlier this week to PSA. And
Nice.
the whole time I'm just like looking at the tracking, you know, did they get it? Did they not get it? Is it there or not? I mean, you know, I put insurance on the card for the value of it if I was going to try to sell it raw, just because, like, you know, okay, I might as well do that. But, you know, even if it grades at a PSA 8, you know, that could still go for around $500. So I'm like, geez, it would really suck if it got lost in the mail, but you know, it is what it is. Sometimes you just got to take these risks. But I think, you know, I think the risk to PSA is worth it at that point, because you get an encapsulated card. And if
Of
something
course, it's worth the
happens,
risk.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's just the ease of mind. These are just parts of this hobby that, are stuff you got to deal with. I mean, there's a certain level of anxiety when you send to PSA and they're like, well, we're backed up, so you're not going to get your stuff for 6 months to 8 months. Like,
or maybe 2 years. Who
yeah,
knows?
where's your card sitting? Who knows? I mean, you don't know what goes on in there. Like, man, I hope they're treating it nice. So,
I know. But what I thought was really cool, this was the first time. So I sent this card express. So I paid $75 for the service. And what I like about it, and it's been a long time since I'd sent previously, so I can't remember what happened, but anytime it moves in the process, you get a notification. It's really nice to see it really quickly because, you know, it's an express card. But yeah, I really appreciate that though about PSA, that you know, this is them covering their asses too. Because, you know, people are thinking about when they send cards in, they want to make sure that their cards are taken care of, you know, white glove service. And on top
yeah.
of that, they don't want to be accused of anything because they have a brand, they have a
Oh,
business
yeah.
to keep up. They need to keep their stocks up. They think in 90-day increments, you know, they have
Yes.
to think about those things. So,
Yeah. And, they do a good job. I mean, they're evolving as we are. They're expanding their company, and it's exciting. It's good. And then, as a company, I think between them, you got BGS and you got PSA, right? You got the two big guys. And I got onto BGS, through football because, with autographs, a 9.5 and with a 10 autograph, you're good. That's your 10. And how difficult it really is to get a BGS 10 or a Black Label 10 is ridiculous. Yeah. You can go through packs of cards and not find a perfectly centered card over and over and over again. Like you are striking gold with that. And I think people underestimate the 9.5s a little bit. It's if you got a 9.5, 9.5, two 10s, I mean, I've got cards that are 9.5s that are better than my PSA 10s. Like I can visually see the centering. I can visually see it.
Yeah. I have some PSA 10s that are definitely not centered. So like, for me, sometimes it's like, okay, wait, did they not notice? Did they just kind of give me a pass on this? So sometimes
they have like a range. But that's where these subgrades break it down a little bit further. If you're talking big money and you're talking about, wanting to know what that card looks like, especially online, I love the subgrades because that will give me an indicator as to really what I'm getting. Because at the end of the day, you're selling this card. You're not selling just the case that's around it. You're selling a piece of artwork that somebody wants, and they're going to pay $10,000. Better hope that that thing's in good shape.
That 0.5 is going to make a difference. That could easily be thousands. If not,
it can. And if you think that's crazy, look at the difference between a PSA 10 and a PSA 9. I mean, it's vastly greater.
But I think people still forget sometimes that a 9 is still considered a mint. It's not like super mint.
It's an incredible card.
Yeah.
Something that card could be absolutely perfect, but they cut it a little bit off to the left. And that's the only problem with it. You still have a perfect card, but once you get into those grade levels, you're playing with perfection. You're playing with how perfect is this thing. And if you're doing subgrades and BGS made everybody get 10s or Black Labels, there would be no following there,
Oh, for sure. Which when I sent over my promo cards for the Panini promo cards for Fortnite, I sent those out, and I was really actually kind of sad because I got more 9s than I thought I was going to get, because I'm like, these cards look so damn good. What did they notice that I did not notice? Like, did they grade it really hard? Damn, I did. I mean, it's no big deal. Like, it is what it is. And I'm still really happy about the grades. Obviously, a 9 is still really good, but I was really hoping for all 10s. That would have been great.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, a 10 is not an easy grade to get. I mean, there's stuff you got to like really look, and even still you're not sure. I mean, you can look at all the centering. Centering is probably the easiest thing that I think you can somewhat get down. There's tools you can use, but even with those, you don't know. I mean, we're talking microscopes here. We're not. I mean, you got to be really, really looking at these cards when they're going.
Yeah, and grading cards is a skill, which I think every collector needs to, work on over time. And whenever I'm looking at cards, whenever I'm looking to buy some raw cards online, on eBay, like I've got my 10, my 9, my 8s, and I'm comparing those, and I'm looking at it and I'm trying to see like, okay, what do I think most likely to grade based on what I already have? Honestly, I need more graded cards from PSA and a whole bunch of other grades too. Like I need some 7s and I need some 6s and I need some 5s.
Yes.
Because I want to be able to see and compare, honestly.
You'll get some perspective. And I have bunches of vintage cards that I haven't sent in to get graded, but those are my cards. Some of them I got, from people who thought I was crazy because I'm 25 going, listen man, you got any Pokemon cards? Like and turned out pretty well, but you're not getting these old ones, in a beautiful setup like there is for these modern cards now, which is another argument that modern has too many and why they need to make scarcity. If you're getting vintage, you're usually getting it out of a shoebox. I mean, because I don't know about you, but it's 9 years old. I didn't have constant access to card sleeves, to hard cases. Like, think how much money you got to spend on that stuff just to keep what you have good.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're sliding them into the binders and with nothing on them.
Seriously, if your cards are good, it's because your parents took care of them because they knew. They knew. So.
Yeah, if you were lucky enough to have that.
Oh my god, I can't believe you put cards in binders without the sleeves.
I
That
know.
makes me like I can't even think about. Sorry, I'm cringing right now. My
Oh no,
OCD is
I
crazy.
could never. No, all of them are in there without sleeves in my personal
Uh
collection. I
huh.
had a lot that were, very nice, but they weren't perfect.
Uh huh. Yeah.
I mean, because when you were a kid, you weren't showing off the non-hollow one that's in great shape in the back of your binder. You're showing off the Charizard, man. You're showing off the whatever holographic you got.
Mhm.
And but there's certain ones that even as a kid, you're like, I got to take care of this one a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
and
definitely.
you got to be happy about that.
But you know what's great about that card? That 10 you've got sitting in the corner in the back in the last sleeve page, or in
Oh,
just in general in your binder. You know, the card that you're
oh yeah,
not thinking about that happens to be taken care of, or not
yes,
even. Those are the cards that end up being super valuable because everybody's not taking care of them. And then you've
yes,
got the one that's in really good condition, and you're sitting on some cash if ever you want to sell it.
yep. And it's a never ending game. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I think everybody at this point that's gone back and found what pulled out all their old cards, it's not, all euphoria. I mean, you're going to find stuff and you'll find white corners and white edges but there's
Mm-hmm.
still value there. I mean, these are still the original cards. I mean, as it goes up in price, people can't afford the 10s, people can't afford the 9s, people can't
Right.
afford the 8s. Eventually they're like, dude, I just want the card. Like, I don't care what
Right.
it looks like. Is it real? If it's graded, it's real. I'm good. Just give me
Right.
whatever I can get my hands on.
Which is why it's not a bad thing to sit on multiple grades of a card, because let's say you have your PSA 10 that's like super personal, very, something that you cherish, right? And then you have like a 9 or an 8 and a 6 and a 5 or a 2 or a 3 of whatever you have. Um, the PSA 10s aren't very accessible, There's not many buyers for PSA 10s because the price points are usually at that point way too high for people. There's not that access. So what do they have access to? Like what you just said. Well, the lower grades. So if you're thinking about your collection, like you have your own personal collection that you probably will never sell unless like you have
Yeah.
an emergency, right? But then you're also hanging on to these other cards where it's like you could sell them if you want to, but you don't really need to, but you also have them. So if you're trying to buy something real nice or saving up some money, like, okay, well, I'll go ahead and sell my PSA 6 first edition Chars. Oh, I mean, that would still bring you like a really nice chunk of change,
Yes.
but
You'd still be very happy.
right, but it's also easier for you to sell as well because it's more accessible to people, and you're okay to sell it because you already have your 10 or your 9 or your 8, so you're good with it.
Yep.
You're good. So
And it's a whole different market now. I mean, there was, 10 years ago where were you selling cards? You were going to your card store. You
mhm.
were going to your friend who either thought you were crazy or was like, yeah, man, but I want a better deal for it. Now you have the entire world who is on eBay, who is now interested on this, and you can buy it at the click of a button. I mean,
Seriously.
you're meeting the entire world owning no business. You're just listing something on a website or an app, and everyone in the world is going to look at it. I mean, geez.
Seriously, I think that's what people are kind of underestimating when it comes to the demand, because everyone's thinking, oh, this is a bubble. It's going to burst at some point. The prices are going to drop crazy and we're going to see everything normalize. Maybe we will see some plateauing. I really don't know what number that will be at. No idea. But it's not going to burst because accessibility. Now everything is super accessible, like what you were saying. No one's going to their LGS or their LCS anymore and having to buy cards through through a glass case. Like that's not the
Yep.
case now because it's accessible. You probably truly see the demand. Like this is probably a truer this is probably a truer version of what the demand probably could have been back then, but because we didn't really have eBay or use eBay or, we were still on dial tone.
Yeah, I mean, you were
Internet,
still
it's
had
different.
cards that really weren't graded all the time, and you see a bubble burst, and you always have to think back to what price point you got in. I
Yeah.
mean, if you got in low enough, that bubble can pop, and you're still sitting,
You're still good.
at high. And, to some people, if you're buying when it's the highest it's ever been, you got to be a little careful, and if you're talking the PSA first edition, Shadowless 10 Charizard composed to the 9, there's going to be that market for the 10 because that is the king. That is the card. It's the Mona Lisa of Pokemon, aside from the illustrator and stuff like that. But those are the cards. There's not many of them. Too bad. There's other stuff that will come and go, but big guys are people with money are really, they're going for the number one, and eventually there will be others.
Yeah, I mean, did you hear that just recently? I was reading an article. I can't remember what it was time stamped for, but a Charizard First Edition Shadowless PSA 10 was bought by Logic, the rapper, recently again for $220.
Yeah, good for him.
Which is really nice. I love it. It's awesome. And when people see those numbers, people start to kind of freak out a little bit because it's like, oh my God, it is a bubble. It is going to burst. But I love those numbers because everything goes up. Everything does by association.
And that's the thing. You have to remember, it depends on the person and what their income level is. To some people, $250,000 is something they can use to invest. But it's also an investment. If you have a house and you have these things, this is just another form to grow wealth. I mean, you can buy this car for $220,000. If you're a multimillionaire, I mean, it's really not the craziest thing in the world. It's just somebody that's normal that doesn't make that much money in a year, let alone 5. I mean, that's an insane amount of money. But it's the same thing as you go down. A $2,000 card to somebody who's doesn't make it as it is, that's insane to them. I mean, it's just, it goes down, and you just have to look at how much demand is really there. I mean, how much are these people buying this stuff? And it comes and goes. But
oh yeah, I have an alert on eBay that tells me, let's see, what's my search? I have a saved search for Pokemon PSA. So it tells me every day how many listings are added or how many items are added, and it's always plus 300 a day.
Oh yeah, I mean,
blows my mind.
All of these cards that have been sitting at PSA are gonna start coming back. I mean,
when that hits,
if you think Evolutions doesn't have so many of those cards, I mean, that they've been on the shelf since I started doing this. Like, there's never been a time since 2017 where you weren't seeing Evolutions on some shelf. And now, you go back, every person who had it before was like, oh crap, where do I put all those? Like, I got them somewhere. But geez, I don't think this is going to happen. I mean, it's amazing what can happen with this stuff.
Yeah. I think that'll be really exciting to see. Like,
yeah,
because I'm guessing, my thought is like, if all of a sudden, if someone put in, a bulk vintage cards, let's say they sent in like 100, 200, 300, I don't know how many, let's say it was a crap ton, and then they get it back from PSA, and then all of a sudden we see this wave of new supply come in. I mean, we should probably expect the market to go up again, which would be really
that's
cool.
The thing is, we have to remember there's a lot more people now who are also involved in this. So these population numbers are nothing compared to, the amount of people that just came into this hobby. I mean, geez, I mean, you can't even find Pokemon stuff on the shelf. I mean, you got to go out there and look at this stuff. I mean, if you're just sitting behind a screen, you don't really get to feel, how much people are actually out there waiting, for the chance to get that Charizard or the chance to get that Pikachu, and it's just creating this hype, and it's amazing.
Oh yeah. Well, one of the cool reasons why I wanted to bring you on was because you know so much more about modern cards than I do. And you, like what we were talking about earlier, obviously vintage has a premium. And so the price point, knocks people out of that particular market because of that. And so it makes sense for them to move into, other niches of the market that they can afford, that are within their price point, which is totally cool. So like for modern cards, people who maybe don't have a bigger budget, or what would be the strategy for modern if you wanted to invest in those cards?
So like we had talked about, modern started catching some steam, right around 2017, which was the Burning Shadows Charizard. That card is my favorite card, honestly. Like, that's what got me back into it, because just started to learn about it, and I noticed it had a misprint, right? And that's where the energy symbol is. There's just the texture like it should be there. Now, some people say it's a misprint. It's not really an error because it's on all of them, but it's just something that sets it apart. It's something that shouldn't be there. Did I lose you? And then once you get into the poll race, I mean, it was like 1 in 1,000 poll rate. So not only is it a 1 in 1,000 poll rate that you got the little misprint and the cards amazing looking. And then we also talked about how people were ripping cards in half at this point in time on YouTube. There was the rip it and flip it. There was people ripping these cards in half to get viewers, man. Like I mean, to this day, there's only like 600 of these PSA 10 Burning Shadows Charizards, and they're hard to grade too. They're not the best centered card. I mean, almost all of them are usually shifted a little bit to the left, and oh my goodness.
Yeah, I noticed that with modern cards. It's hard to find one really good centering.
Yeah, I mean, they're not making it perfect for us. They know that that's what we're looking for. I mean, they're not foolish. I mean, if they wanted to, they can make them all look like the Japanese ones that are really nice. But they know we hunt for that stuff, so they're gonna keep us dealing with it.
Oh, 100%.
But it also creates scarcity. I mean, that's how Modern is doing this. They're taking something that was very accessible, except it was hard to get because it was older and we haven't printed it for a while, and now you have to find scarcity in other ways. You have to make it harder for people to get. You have to make it harder for people to grade, and you have to make it harder for people to find. These boxes are expensive.
Yeah.
So and then after the Burning Shadows one started catching some steam, that was my feeler. That was the one I bought that I was like, all right, if I'm going to go into this Modern stuff, I'm going to see how this one does over the next year, 2 years. So after a year later or 2 years later, the shiny version of that card came out. So it's like, okay, now we're on a pattern. This is the one that got people enough involved that they're gonna keep running with. So that one comes out. That one's in an ETB version, which you only get 10 cards, 10 packs, and so you just can't buy as many of them. And people love that one. I mean, it came out with so much hype because the Burning Shadows was already catching steam. I mean, I think it was $1,000 at this point for a PSA 10, and people, there was the Black Label shiny Charizard that sold for like 10,000. I'm like, that is absolute craziness. This thing just came out. It has no misprint on it, but it's beautiful. So I was like, I'm going to wait on it. I'm going to see what this one does and just see if it, holds some steam. Lo and behold, a year later, I bought it, and I was like, all right, so I want to go down this path. I'm going to follow this pattern. I'm going to follow this Charizard and this new style of Charizard wherever they take it. And I'll tell you, after I got the Hidden Fates one, I fell in love with it. That thing is beautiful. I mean, the background is amazing. It's just something amazing to look at. So we go on, and then they dropped the Champion's Path, which made people go absolutely crazy. Now you got COVID-19, which is brought a lot of us at home, and we're not spending money on other things, so that's an amazing catalyst for this type of stuff. But oh my god, you couldn't get one of these boxes to save your life. Like, you had to wait. There was people waiting outside. Like, it was amazing. I went out there just to kind of go see how hard it was to get these, and to this day I've found one box of a pin collection. And what they did in that one, they just made the newer version of this base hyper rare shiny, base for hyper rare shiny, base hyper rare shiny, and they just keep doing this over and over again. And then they dropped the big one. They dropped that tournament Charizard that I had been hoping for, because I see this pattern with these really awesome Modern cards. I'm like, they got to drop something that's just gonna blow people out of the water. It's gonna be impossible to get. And they did it. I mean, Jesus, you got two choices: go to a tournament and win it, or pay a ton of money to get an ungraded one. And I think that one really solidifies itself as, the biggest character, the character that brought everyone into Pokemon again. People from 40, 50 to 9 or 10 are out there just hoping they can get this box of cards. I see it all the time. I see people searching the freaking aisle. I'm like, oh my god, it's just unbelievable. And
with
then
your tourney card, did you is that graded? Did you get that graded already? Okay.
I was already pre-graded. It was the first one that ever
okay.
hit the market that I could find, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure it was the first one ever graded.
Oh, you
But I
said it
just
was BGS, huh?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
Beckett.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't waiting on that one. I mean, there's a lot of cards I'll sit there and I'll wait, but I had seen this new style Charizard starting to catch steam.
You got to go
And
for it.
we talk about why is the first edition shadowless? I mean, it's a stamp and no shadow. Okay, there's two things there that start to create this. There's this two variation pattern. So you got that it's shadowless first edition. You got these staff pre-release Charizards coming out. You got the tournament. It's got the promo on the bottom. So none of these Champions Path cards are going to have the little promo symbol on the bottom.
Right.
And they have this weird flame in the background that is different. A lot of Japanese cards are different, but these are two things. I mean, there's always this double thing that sets certain cards apart.
Right. Right. So for you, when it comes to modern, you try to tell people that, like, considering the pull rates, you want to make sure that you get the right cards. The right cards are the ones that are a little bit different. So like what you're saying, those ones that are a little bit different are going to be the more scarce ones. So misprints, like what you were saying, those special tourney cards. I don't even know if there are any right now on eBay, but those are the ones. So there isn't like a particular set that you lean to. You just lean towards like where are the special unique cards, right?
Exactly. And there's no truer one than the evolution set, right? So evolutions, you can't get the Pikachu and you can't get the Mewtwo in that holo out of that pack. You can get the reverse holo and you can just get the base Mewtwo. But there's the theme decks. In the theme decks, you can get the cracked ice Pikachu and you can get the cracked ice Mewtwo. This set's huge. And now two of the biggest players in this set can only be gotten in a $10 box of Pokemon cards. These are $10. You understand how much the graded version of those is going for?
Insane.
It was insane. And I'm like, oh my God, I started buying a couple of them. I don't buy all of them. I only got like two of them. Because, I'd rather leave the stuff. I'm not here to buy 1,500 of one thing and sit here and sell them left and right.
It reminds me of like the Machamp. Like the Machamp that came in the starter decks. They didn't come in the...
Exactly, and it's just a little different way. And most of the people who were buying theme decks weren't me. I mean, if I was buying it in 2017, I was buying the booster boxes. I was buying all that stuff. There was kids that were getting the $10 box of the Mewtwo and the Pikachu. So half of them were probably destroyed anyways.
Right.
I mean, it's people like me just weren't. I wasn't looking at those. I didn't even think twice about the shiny Pikachu or the shiny Mewtwo. And you're starting to see those cracked ice versions start to get bigger, which is why I bought the new Vivid Voltage Charizard one. It's got that cracked out, and they did it again. You get the reverse holo, you get the normal holo. It's just they play with you, man, and they drop a little Easter eggs everywhere.
Oh man, that's a really great part of it, right? The little Easter eggs, but that's a pretty solid strategy. So then, if I had $100, I had $100 to spend to invest in a Pokemon, where should I put my money?
So you're saying a specific Pokemon, or are you talking like a box, like a certain
anything,
series?
like a certain series, or like if I could only have $100 to spend, like where should I put it? Where would be the best ROI for me?
All right, so I'm a little biased, but I like I bought today, Burning Shadows. I think it is something that's going to be incredible. I just don't think people realize how awesome that card is and how hard it is to get. And we just talked about the Mewtwo one. If you can get those Mewtwo Madness boxes right now, I mean, they're cheap still. A lot of people don't even know that that's something. People are just that whole series has gone crazy. I mean, if you think that people aren't going to want the Mewtwo and the Pikachu out of it, that's craziness. It's hard to get those ones in great shape, but it's part of the game.
Yeah.
And oh man, for $100, there's just so many little things. I mean, Vivid Voltage, I'd like to see that one play out a little bit more before I really recommend anything in it.
Those sets are going like 150, 170 now. I mean, the boxes,
they're gonna go like crazy. I mean, this is what happens every single time a set releases, and it hasn't even come out yet. I'm pretty sure. But they did a good job with that one because they keyed in on the next biggest character, the Pikachu, right? And they made, like I told you, I was talking earlier. I think I saw something that the pull rate's pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 1,000 packs. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
gonna filter down. I mean, that's a big card to get. And now there's the what is it? The special delivery Pikachu people love.
Mm-hmm.
So they're playing on Pikachu now a little bit. I mean, they're gonna find both of these big markets,
Mm-hmm.
and from after that, we'll just see where we go.
Yeah. It'll be really exciting to see where it does go.
Yep.
And so I'm curious, like, just to get your thoughts on Darkness Ablaze. Do you have any of those? Like
I don't
those?
have the boxes, but I bought the VMAX or the VMAX Charizard graded
Mm-hmm.
when it was like 200, $300. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, this is pretty low. I'll buy one of these, add it to my collection. Might as well.
Mm-hmm. Do you
Because
know
I
what they're
like
at now?
I have no idea. I haven't checked it recently. um, but it goes along with the pattern of these modern cards. They're all based off the same initial Burning Shadows Charizard. And this thing is not going anywhere anytime soon. It's only going to go into crazier, hyper rare versions, you know?
Mm-hmm.
This is a piece of time that's going to be solidified.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was 1996 when a million people got involved in Pokemon, and then there's 2020 when 100 million people got in Pokemon. I don't know; those numbers obviously aren't accurate, but
Mm-hmm.
that kind of number jump is just extraordinary. It only happens every once in a while,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and so for a lot of kids, these guys are the first edition Shadowless to them. You know, this is their card.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everyone that just got involved is out there hunting for them. They're not going to forget it.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Because and I've said this too. I've said that, you know, it really sucks that for these modern sets they don't put the first edition stamp on it. But honestly, they don't need to.
They don't need to.
They don't need to.
They'll make
It's already
scarcity
there.
in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
They'll make it sought after in a different way than they have before.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it doesn't have to say first edition for it to be rare.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what we know. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're not ready to accept a little bit of change and be prepared for things to evolve into something you don't know, then it's the wrong hobby to be in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure, for sure.
I mean, it just goes for forever. I mean, look at you got Star Wars stuff behind you. I mean, that was an older generation thing, but has that ever really crashed? I mean, if anything, a
No,
lot of those things just have gone up, but it's just a different demographic of people.
it really
You know,
has. And
and that's what's amazing.
and these tops cards right here, this is the
Mhm.
only one that I have. But these tops cards, printed 1977, literally all they did was just take pictures of the movies and put them on cardboard. Like there's
Mhm.
not even anything in the back.
Yeah.
These cards, the market for these, I had no idea these cards first existed. I found out like a month or so ago, and then I saw them, and I saw they were graded. There was a whole bunch on PSA, and then so I started looking at eBay and started to see what was going on. There are PSA 10s of these cards in that set that are going for more than $1,000, and I'm like, what is going on? That's awesome. That's crazy. I didn't know about it, so now I'm gonna start buying them because like I love Star Wars, obviously.
There's so many different ways you can go right now, and half of it is just what's happening in the world. Like there was, what was it, Game of Thrones? I went
Those
out and
Game of
bought.
Thrones cards, yeah.
I bought Game of Thrones Oreos for $2. Okay, there's a special edition Game of Thrones. I bought one to eat, and I was like, I'm gonna put one of these away, and it's gonna be hilarious because I'm just gonna put them to the side, and I bet you I can make 100% profit on Oreos. And you know, I'm pretty sure I can sell it for $4. But like, that's the reality of it. Like, these are big things for people in their lives right now. Netflix is huge. You know, this is what people do to keep themselves entertained. You got Baby Yoda. I mean,
Man.
that guy was an icon. You got the Tiger King. I mean, he's on garbage, the GBK cards. I mean, people just fall in love with these things.
Mm-hmm. And what I start to tell people, like my cousins, he buys a lot of baseball cards. He buys like the Bowmans, you know, Allen and Ginter and all that stuff. And one night, like we were just chilling, watching some Netflix, and I'm on PSA, and I'm just like, well, you know, let's look at these pops for these random TCGs. And that's when I found Star Wars. I saw Star Trek on there. Like there were so many random cool sets that were on there, and I'm like, well, this it's really interesting to see what's happening, because what I don't know, because I haven't seen those markets, I don't know them well enough, but like is the hype of the not hype. I don't even want to call it hype because it's hype, but it's real. But what's happening with Pokemon? Is it bleeding into other hobbies? Which it seems like that thought is bleeding into other hobbies. I mean, I'm an example of that because I bought that, but I wish I saw what happened before. What was going on?
I think it was a little bit more. I started seeing it first in the sports cards. I started seeing it with the Mike Trout. Mike Trout was like this card that was just breaking all of the rules, right? It's modern. I mean, he's an incredible player. But they just started going for crazy money. And, you know, you got a lot of big card guys on YouTube, you know, I think it's like Vegas Dave, Gary V, who talks about it all the time. And they're making these calls, and you know a lot of them are coming true because you can really track these players so well. I mean, and then so they start getting some steam, and all of a sudden one starts selling for 900, and then another one sells for $1 million, and $3 million. $3 million. Pokemon's down here, man. Pokemon's down at like 250 grand. There's a big window there for the same type of artwork, which is a card, right? One has an autograph on it. Very true. And, you know, Panini and certain tops and all them, they make certain cards scarcer than others by numbering them.
Right.
But collectibles and, you know, TV series and stuff like that, they make their own scarcity in their own way. And, you know, I think money started trickling down when people realized, all right, these graded cards aren't looked at the same way as, you know, ungraded cards used to look at back in the day. Pretty sure there's apps where you can invest in these collectibles now, too. There's a Rally. I think you can literally buy stock in the card.
I saw that. I
like if you think that's not going to make stuff go crazy or have an effect on it, it's going to be crazy. I mean, Jesus.
Like you can invest in a Mickey Mantle, you know.
Yeah.
That's way out of your price range, but now a little bit, you own a little bit.
Yep, and that's like my dad started talking to me about it. He bought this card. I don't think it's too much cash, but I mean, he got a Mickey Mantle rookie card, or was it a rookie card? I don't even know at this point. But
I like the case.
Oh yeah, the black ones are awesome. I like these leather cases.
I've actually never seen those. With my graded cards, I just put them in those clear bags. But I like that. I wanted to protect
my stuff, you know, because I've dropped a card and I've cracked one. You know, I dropped my Saquon, and you know what happened to him? He was out. He got hurt, and he's out all year. So I think it was my fault partially, but
it was you. Blame it all on you. Well,
but that's why I've just upgraded the cases I've gotten. You know, now you got these Pandora cases, which are great. I love the acrylic. I like the fact that, you know, make them look like they cost the amount of money that they actually do. You know, I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, seriously. Like, if you're gonna buy a really nice card, keep it really nice, display it really nice. Like, keep it safe.
You know, eventually one day when I do decide to maybe sell one of these, you know, you guys have seen them. They're here on my Instagram every day. You know, they're in this. I'm not doing anything crazy with them. I'm not changing around. I mean, I'll move stuff here and there, but I got the, you know, dehumidifier down here. I got everything. You know, I try to make sure that I can keep the stuff as nice as possible.
And, you know, going back to my Trout, I want to go back to my Trout really quickly because you mentioned that his card obviously broke $3 million, which is amazing. It's so cool. It's awesome. Obviously, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's good.
Yep.
But so that number blows my mind because I can't remember the name of the collector, but he has 3 baseball cards. No, I'm sorry, baseballs that are 2.6 million at the time when I was watching it, and these are record-breaking balls, like the Barry Bonds ball that broke, you know, the home run record, the Mark McGwire ball that broke the home run record. I can't remember the other player off the top of my head because it's been a while since I saw the documentary, but I was watching this guy, you know, show off these balls. Now, what kind of sucks is like Barry Bonds, you know, he was on the roids, you know, Mark McGwire, he's on the roids, so I don't know how it affected the value of those cards. I mean, baseballs, but like these are baseballs that made history, and we have one baseball card that is just paper that is worth more than those balls that were involved in history. Like,
there's a different level of excitement, you know, there's a level of I got in before his greatness happened, you know, and there's a lot more money out there, man. We keep printing it, and I mean, it's just these numbers aren't going to be crazy too long, you know. This is people got some cash, and if you know you're trying to take it out of cash, I mean, you can put it in all different kinds of things. I mean, but you just start to see these things go up in value because, you know, more people get involved that have a bigger bank account and can literally control entire markets of cards by having the best one. I mean,
Right.
it can be terrifying, the fact that, someone can hold that much power in, an entire market.
Yeah. And I just had a conversation with like the guys I was mentioning going twice on IG. They're really awesome. What I was talking with them is we were talking about market manipulation versus investing. So like an investor that sees the opportunity in a card, so they'll buy however many they can at whatever price they're looking to spend. And all of a sudden you see this, people look at eBay auctions, and all the listings, so they'll see the movement of this card. And so sometimes people forget that it's not necessarily market manipulation. It's just an investor going in and being like, oh, okay, so this card is good.
A lot of times, if you're getting that crazy hype or that crazy price point, there's something there. There's a reason why somebody's putting it up for these crazy numbers. Granted, are they going to get that big dollar sign? Probably not initially, but there's some type of something there. But you got to look at it if you're going to invest in this. I'm not worried about $100 difference. Like, I'm buying this to hold on for 10 years. I enjoy collecting it. So like, I buy it if it's $1,000, $600. Like, all right, well, I'm going to see where this goes anyways. So if I was going to buy a $600 card, I would hope it would go higher than $1,000 over a certain amount of time. And that's why you just got to know what you're buying. Know why it could go higher. Why could this card I'm about to put my hard-earned money into actually make me back not only my initial money, but make me more. Or if you just enjoy collecting it, enjoy collecting it. But
yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And for me, part of what I really enjoy within the hobby, and I kind of mentioned this before, like buying the raw card that I can see is in really, really good condition, that I can see like grading an 8, a 9, or a 10, and actually getting them graded and getting those back and seeing, there's going to be an ROI there. Even if it's not an ROI right now, it's going to be there, right? So to me, finding first editions of vintage cards that, one card cost me $10, one card it cost me $20, maybe 30. There's some cards out there that are costing $80, $90, but those sellers know that they have a good condition card. So obviously the price kind of reflects that. But sometimes too, you can find auctions that people aren't paying attention to, where you see those deals and you're just crowd them. Like earlier today, this morning, I spent some cash. I spent some cash on some auctions that I was coming in at like 3 seconds before the auction was over, just coming in and kind of overbidding just to anticipate those auto bids. And
it's gonna happen, you make mistakes. I've made plenty of them, believe me. Like, I've just gone on, thought I didn't know a market or didn't know what I was buying, but I knew what I wanted, and I was like, nah, I'm just gonna buy this. It was like a $30 difference, but I could say $30. It's just those little times you slip up. It just depends on how much money you're slipping up with. If you're getting to different price levels, your attention needs to be far greater towards what you're getting. I mean, you just have to. I mean, if you're going to go out there and you're going to really put down a decent chunk of cash, you better know why the hell you're buying it.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, honestly, at this point with the hobby, like, when I first got into Instagram and like even joined the community, part of the reason was, oh, if I join Instagram, I can try and sell my Fortnite cards on Instagram. Literally, that was the only reason I put myself on Instagram. And then I started seeing all these communities, and then I started, like, not that I didn't appreciate the cards, but I started to see it differently. I just fundamentally started to see it differently. And so now anything I'm buying, I really have no intention of selling.
Yeah, it's the community, right? There's this community out there, and that's the power of the internet and why these hobbies are going so big, right? You can be anybody. Anyone can buy anything they want without anybody judging them because it comes to their mailbox. You know what? You have all the freedom in the world. If you like Pokemon, if you like, I don't know, anything, there's a market there, and there's probably a community that's talking about it on some type of social media platform. So now you got these people who are, they enjoy other people's company, share the same interests, and you guys feed off of each other. I see it all the time on Instagram. You know, people posting different stuff coming out. People getting excited for this. People are buying this. And I'm like, oh God, you know, there's a lot of that goes on. I think like those, I don't know why, but I think it was the $20 Jirachi boxes. Like, Jesus, save those for the kids, man. Like there's Crimson Invasion and packs that you're not going to get anything substantial out of. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great deal for some young kids to go there and enjoy and actually be able to pull some Pokemon cards. Meanwhile, we got people going and selling them $40. Like,
yeah.
And I know it's in those things. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I can definitely understand that. That's cool. Like I can appreciate, you know, people like, you know, leaving a few on the shelf.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need 100 of these. I don't. I mean, it's important that other people get to do this and get to experience it because it's just burn it out.
And what you said earlier too, diversifying. Like you don't want to put in too much money into one thing because you could be losing out on something that could potentially get you more, or just in general, like that safety net of just diversification.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's important that, you know, not just our group has all of these new ones. There's got to be an opportunity for the next 10 years of people who start to grow up and want and desire these things, because at that point it just stays within a 10-year age group.
Right.
And then you're kind of singling yourself out like a lot of other hobbies, you know. But there's it's always nice to go on and see, you know, different ages playing with this stuff. Like I love showing my son these cards, and he doesn't give a hell if one's $1,000 or if one's $5, and that's the best part. Like he doesn't care. You know, he sees the Charizard and he roars, but he sees the woo-woo card and he's so like, cute. Yep, give me that one. I want that.
Aw, that is so cute. Yeah. I mean, it'll be good memories with you and him opening up packs, enjoying the hobby together.
Yeah, and who knows if we'll even like it. And that's not I'm not going to push anything on him. But, you know, he could be very excited. I have Fortnite stuff by the time he gets older.
And we'll see where those boxes are, and maybe if you let him open up one or two, or
we'll see
how much money he'll be opening up. That'll be cool. That'll be cool. No, but I mean that's really good. Like, you know, building those memories with the kids and letting them enjoy the hobby, even if, like you said, they don't really get into it as they get older. They're like, you know, I'm too old for that, Dad.
Yeah,
you know, no one
it's
likes
gonna
that.
happen. I mean, there's a point where kids at school don't think you're the coolest guy because you got a certain card. I mean, they're not ultra concerned about how much money that thing costs. I mean, it's just a different walk of life. You know, we look at it like, holy crap, I might be able to buy a freaking car with this thing or a house.
God, I know, right?
I mean,
like I've seen guys in the comic book world. They'll have like a graded comic book that's worth like $2,500, you know, $3,000, however much, you know, more for a lot of those first appearances of like Superman and stuff like that. But you know, they're going in and trading that for a used vehicle. Yeah. Literally just like, here you go, trade.
Yeah, if that's what you want to do with it, and that's the thing. Like for me, a used car is not worth a trade for something like this.
That appreciates over time.
I not just that, but I enjoy it. You know, I get to come down to, and that's why I like the modern so much, because I come down to this. Like these cards are crazy, man. Like the vintage ones are cool, but none of them are like jumping out of the friggin' cabinet like these things. You know, you look at the hidden fates, the thing shines whether the light's on or off.
Oh yeah.
I mean, these cars are just, they're beautiful. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, I don't care who you are, you pull one of those things out, you'll double think about doing anything crazy with it.
Right. And that's where you found the arbitrage too. Like, not only do you like them more, which is obviously probably the most important part, but also, you know, you're not paying the premium like with vintage. I mean, probably right now for those cards, you're probably going to pay a little bit of a premium, but even still, it'll probably be
there's a lot of upside.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of up to go, you know.
Yeah.
These things didn't move when vintage went absolutely crazy. These things have just been sitting here, just buy sell around, you know, the 3,200, and then at some point once that vintage money trickles down, effects are going to happen. You know, they're going to go into different places, and eventually when people can't find the Burning Shadows and figure out how hard these things were to get, and it's going to be different. And then, you know, you have the reprint stuff. You know, stuff's going to get reprinted. Like I said, there's more people buying, so that's not always a horrible thing. But
what do you think the reprint of Hidden Fates will do with Charizard?
I don't know. I think it'll be exciting. I think they could do some crazy stuff. Who knows? They could totally switch it up on us. You know, they could
watch the gold come out.
I know they could pull some stuff like that. I mean, and that's the pattern I was talking about. You know, all of a sudden, out of those from 17, you had Burning Shadows, then you had Hidden Face, and you had this gold Charizard over in Japan that, guys, is a gold Charizard. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then
What's cooler?
you get the Champion's Path. I mean, there's just this reoccurring pattern, but damn, man, I don't know what we would do if we had a gold one hit. I think it's going to cause some craziness.
God, I know. And just wait until Pokemon starts to do blockchain. Just
Well,
wait.
you guys already have those freaking cards you can scan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got that people give away all the time on these.
Oh yeah, for those trading the online game.
Yeah, I saved them all. Why not? You know, there's blockchain NFTs. There's, you know, collectible artwork online. There's kids that are going to only play the online version.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You still open up packs on there.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people selling them on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's the difference?
Oh yeah, for sure. You can sell them on eBay. You can get money back from them on those apps. I can't think of what they're called, but
yeah, and that's one of those things, right? That's one of those things that you were like, oh my God, I had so many of those and I gave them away. And that's when you're like, crap, it's all over again. Like, shoot, man, I missed the ball on that one.
Seriously, like if a third party is willing to pay you, like let's say 30 cents or however much, you know, for one of those cards to scan, you know there's something there. Like what you were saying, there's something there. Like
Yep.
so they, you know, where is their benefit to this? Like
Yeah.
like what is it? And
what's the risk? I mean, a lot of times you're taking a risk on some of this early stuff. This isn't very high. I mean, it depends on how much you buy of it, but
right.
you know, in retrospect, you're not going out and forking out $10,000 for a Charizard that's been around for 20 years. You're dropping, you know, $50 on a box and see where it goes.
See where it goes, yeah.
I mean, you can buy it graded already, and which is what I choose to do, because by the time you start opening them, there's the money you spent to open this thing. There's the money you spent to grade this thing. There's the money you spent to strike out on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me the card, and I'll go from wherever point I start and hope we go higher than there.
Right. You know, and considering like all of those things, if you find PSA 10s for good deals, like just get it. I remember I had on the podcast Charlie. I don't know if you follow him, Dual Set Pokemon on IG. And one of the things that he said, he's like, if you see a PSA 10 for $20, just get it. Yeah. Just get it, because of all of the money and potential loss just to get it to that point, you know.
Yeah.
$20.
Oh my God, $20. It costs more than that to grade it.
Seriously.
I mean, Jesus, all you had to do is pick up that low-hanging fruit. I mean, granted, not everything's going to go nuts. I mean, this is just a once in a 20-year event here. I mean, but
yeah,
the value's there. There's people here. They're not leaving because Logan Paul's leaving. They're not leaving because of anything else. There was already a community here. Just a whole lot of people just learned about it.
There was already growth. Growth was already happening by the time Logan Paul.
Oh, yeah. It was just different price levels. You know, there was just... At the time, when I bought that $400 Charizard, that was a $400 Pokemon card. Like, you understand? Like, it was a craziness. Like, I'm like, all right, yeah, this is I could do something else with this, or I could buy a card, right? The one thing everyone tells you you're nuts for, a modern card. Mm-hmm. But, you know, most of the time when people tell you 100 times not to do it, they're either scared that it's going to take over theirs, or, you know, they just haven't done any research on it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Just a different age group likes different things. You know, we talked about with vintage cars opposed to brand new cars. Mm-hmm. And a lot of kids nowadays are looking at the brand new Ferrari, you know, and that holds, you know, some type of value to them, you know, opposed to something that a couple of years older they enjoyed.
Like what did they say about old cards? Like cars, you know, the Firebird was your dad's, but yours was the Mustang.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't know the exact saying, but it's that's something exactly like that. How it works, right? You know, it's whatever you grew up with. You know, there will be that out of reach older thing, and it happens over and over again. There's always the out of reach vintage. There's the modern where you have no idea what the hell you're trying to find. But if you can do it, you can make out really well because the price goes absolutely bonkers. And then there's just this drive to, can I get something before anybody else gets it and make the money there, right? Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
Those three things don't go anywhere.
Yeah, and talking about getting in early, like obviously right now we're still really early with Fortnite. I mean, what was it? Series 1 dropped. Like, I remember getting into Fortnite in July last year. So
Yeah.
I'm sure it dropped probably a little bit beforehand. But we're still super early. Like, less than 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So with that being a really young card collection that's now out, are there any other ones that you're kind of trying to scope out to see what's going on? Like, do you know about Force of Will, Flesh and Blood, like any of those TCGs?
Not really. But there's just the main guys, like the big names. I've never collected GPK cards before, the Garbage Pail Kids cards, but all of these companies started doing these reprints, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hyped up reprints of the first one because Pokemon did it, and that shit exploded. Sorry for swearing, but like,
It's all good.
it just started going. Yu-Gi-Oh just did that gold one, like that.
Yeah.
What's it called? I opened up a box of it the other day, but those things are awesome. I mean, it's the first edition, gold, blue eyes. I mean, come on, that's gonna have something going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very short glimpse. You get to see these things on the shelf now. Like these are selling so fast. You can't just go to the store and get them.
Yeah.
I mean, these places just can't keep up. It's just unbelievable. So anything for 2020 is I feel almost gonna be sought after, because this is the time where if it was somewhat relevant and people thought it was cool, you weren't finding it because everyone was buying everything.
Mm-hmm. And
Fortnite hasn't even hit the shelves while this craziness has gone on until pretty much now. So
yeah.
Pretty sure coming up, the only thing that's going to be on the shelf is some Fortnite, and people are going to try to dabble in that one too.
I'll be down with it. I'm gonna probably check tomorrow, just to see. I haven't seen it yet in my local, but
I've seen somebody find a box. I saw somebody sent me a picture of a box. I was like, nice.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
But and it was pretty cool, and it was like red. I think it was pretty sweet.
Okay.
Yeah, these cool. Fortnite boxes are different box colors. And, you got like the green ones that are like the first ones that come out, and then you got whatever comes out in the stores after that.
Mm-hmm.
But the first boxes you can get, like you have those 9 promo cards. Like, oh my god, those things are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, their first of anything is always good, right?
Mm-hmm.
On anything you're talking about, you got Series 1. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And you got the first 9 cards first 9 promos ever made. It's
honestly, some of these cards are even the first ones or one of one pops. I mean, well, at least the last time I checked, they were one of one pops.
Yeah. And they were the first cards anyone ever saw that bought these things, right? If you bought that package, which was the 9 promos, the binder, and the hobby box, that was it. You got the 9 promos. You knew, damn, I should probably keep these nice. And then you got to open up the box, but. I'm still bitter because my order got messed up and I should have had 2 of them. But,
that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it stunk.
After you told me that story, I kind of got a little worried when I ordered my hobby boxes.
I was nervous right after I bought mine. Like, I gotta get that receipt.
I know,
those
right?
sold out fast. Those sold out much faster than the first series did. Those things were gone in like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is so crazy. I'm glad they did put a limit though. I mean, I'm sure people. Maybe they were able to get multiple cases.
But if you were already in it and you were prepared, I mean, those are the people that make out with this stuff. These are the people that do the research. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You cry about it, or you can start to learn. Figure out who to learn from.
Seriously. And I remember literally last year I joined the blog, Panini's blog, because I'm like, I need to know when these cards drop. I need to know when they drop. So I'm just gonna join specifically for that, and every few months I would check like what's happening, what's going on, and I didn't get the notification. Then all of a sudden, boom, Panini Fortnite. I was like, what is going on? Like, I hadn't even been paying attention to the market at that point, because I'm kind of like, because there's so much stuff to look at, right? And there's so much to learn. Like we talked about that earlier. There's so much to learn, and I'm in so many different hobbies. Like, I just kind of like set it and forget it kind of thing, at least with Fortnite, because I knew it was already going to be good. Like, I'm going to sit on everything that I have. Yep. So I didn't have to look at the market, but now seeing all that activity, like with those cards selling out or with the boxes selling out, when I saw that email, I was like, oh my God, I've been waiting for a year and a half for this email to drop. It was great.
And that's what goes back. You got to be ready to go long term on these. Like, I didn't buy Series 1 for $30 going, in 2 months, this thing's going to be $200. Listen, we got a year to wait. That might not even come out. These might totally flop.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely missed out on this. But for the amount of cost, it's worth a shot, man. There's a lot of upside to if this does work out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this game was the biggest game in the world, right? I mean, it's.
Oh, yeah. 100%. And like you said, it's funny. We don't even play. We don't even play.
You have to play. I mean, it's just, you just got to know. I don't know how to play the Pokemon game. I mean, come on. I mean.
Same. I've never played it.
Yeah, but you always knew the collecting part of it, and that's what we did growing up. It was, nobody cared if you knew how to play the game. It was, my friend's got a Charizard, so my friend's cooler than you are. You know?
Yeah.
No matter what, at some point in your life, Pokemon cards made you cooler than the other guy, right? You got your YouTube channel better than this guy's because you got the better card. You were the coolest kid on the school bus because you had a couple of hollows, and you know people wanted to hang out with you. It's just, it's this funny attraction that it brings and the attention that it brings people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's definitely really fun, and I'm waiting for when Fortnite. So what I've seen so far, obviously the Fortnite community is really tiny, like when it comes to collectors, and I haven't seen any of them. Like what they're doing is they're either us that just see the opportunity, or their parents just getting those cards for their little kids. But what I can't wait to see, like, when players really start to get into it, and I think that might be a little bit of what we're seeing in the growth of what's going on right now.
I mean, that's going to have to be where it goes. The players have to get involved in it. I don't know if at some point they'll intertwine them with the game somehow. I don't know what they'll do with it, but you know, you have to have the player backing on it as well. But that's where the hype comes from. Like, oh my God, these things are worth money now. Like, I love Fortnite. Like, and people slowly start to trickle in and realize I can't buy the first Series 1 anywhere on eBay. You know, you can't find it anywhere. And the boxes tripled when the Series 2 came out. You know, I bought, or maybe not triple, but the box I bought for $80 was $200 right after Series 2 dropped. And you see them sell. You see them all start selling. Like, as soon as something you know is big, as soon as that hits the internet or hits eBay, you'll see buyers right there. You know, that was like the staff cards for Vivid Voltage. You know, people were excited about Vivid Voltage coming. All I cared about was the fact that there was a Lugia coming out with a staff on it who does not get nearly enough, you know, card love as, you know, he should be getting. And the fact that aside from the Shining Legends Lugia and the Hyper Rare, I mean, there wasn't much there. So this is a big deal for that character. And then Charizard, I mean, it's a Charizard staff card.
It's a Charizard, we already know.
And then it was understanding how to get those staff cards. So this year, the only way you could get them was if you were a vendor. You know, it kind of goes back to the tournament thing. The only way you can get it is if you compete in a tournament. Things that are out of my and most of the people's ability to even do. So you're already out on that one. You're not getting it for free. Too bad. And then you got to deal with the vendors. I mean, they're getting every 4 boxes they buy, they got 1 pack of these.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, and that's why on one of my Instagram posts that I posted with it, and I did some wicked, you know, flamboyant picture with a bowl in it. But I also put the information on how you were able to attain them. And that's where the value is. How hard are these to get? And here's why. So the first ones that hit, bam, bought them right off the gate. Didn't care if there's some cards where most of the time you would never do that because you want to see if people, you know, if it goes down, but I didn't think those were going to go down. So
oh yeah,
you got to pick and choose when something's got some value there and when something doesn't have some value there. And now the graded ones, I mean, they're expensive. I mean, they're not to play with. I was very fortunate with the ones that I got are in incredible shape. I just haven't sent them out yet. I've been buying a lot of product opposed to sending things out to grade them, not trying to sell them right now. So
no, I definitely get you. And what's really nice, well, okay, so I think the one thing that you definitely demonstrate is, like, obviously, you have confidence in what you're doing, but majority of the reason why you have confidence in what you're doing is because you've been keeping an eye on it. You've been keeping educated. You've been doing your research. And a lot of what's happening right now is this FOMO that's been getting on people. People don't know what they're buying. People don't know what they're selling. They're not looking at the condition and considering the condition of the card. You know, when
and that's just something you don't know. There's no way to know this stuff until you get in it and you learn. Unfortunately, right now is a tough time to learn because this stuff is really expensive. You know, granted, back when I was doing it a couple of years ago, it was still expensive. I mean, damn, like I would have been pissed if my $400 card went to $75. But it would suck, but you know what? That's the chance you take.
Yeah.
There's nothing. I don't. If those things drop tomorrow, it is what it is. Like this is the chance I did. It was a calculated risk. It was a calculated decision, and whether this goes up or down, I'm in it. I'm going to enjoy it. Right. So I feel confident enough knowing this pattern that's been created over 3 years that the company's literally putting in front of our face the scarcest things they can make, and we're going to give you the king of them. Like this is the first. How many Charizards are actually numbered? Is there any? I mean, I don't know if there is. I've never even heard of a Charizard that had a specific 1200 made, a specific 600 made. That's something only Panini cards do, or numbered baseball cards do. Before that, it was whoever grades them, and we'll see what the pop count is.
Right. Keep you guessing.
We're not going any higher than 1200 for the combo. I mean, there's 3000 of the V, but to have the combo of the two, only 1200 people will ever have those.
Yeah. And I don't know. I guess it would be pretty interesting, pretty cool to see if they did do the numbers. I mean, I think people's buying habits would kind of change at that point for Pokemon. I don't know if they're willing to take that risk because they've kind of already solidified their formula. I mean, really, at the end of the day.
They've already got what they're going to do. I don't think they have any need to number except for the very exclusive versions. Like, this isn't the first modern style tournament card. There's the Mewtwo. That there's only 300 or something like that of them made, and then there's like a Zekrom. Forgive me if I didn't pronounce that right, but there's one that was before that that's also like $5,000. So this isn't anything new. This is just the biggest character that's ever been turned into one. Aside from Pikachu, which he's in his own class, man. Those tournament cards from the vintage time, they're all what they are. Like. I mean, these are just two totally different entities. I mean, those are rare because there's like 2 of them or 3 of them, but it was also a point in time where you couldn't grade and you couldn't do all of these things. There wasn't, 100 million people trying to get them.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see if Pokemon does certain things that Magic the Gathering is doing right now. For example, they just recently came out with this card. It's called like Bejeweled. Something like that. Anyways, so there's a lot of hype around this card, and what Wizards of the Coast is doing right now is they're selling it directly to consumer, and they've set their price point, right? So, like what we had kind of talked about before, trying to get a little bit of that secondary market action on the front end for the companies, which makes sense. They can do what they do, just like Panini when they have their 101 Zion special rookie. I can't even remember what it's called, but I remember seeing them go for 1,000, 1,500. I don't even know if those are still available. I'm sure they're not, but
it was also like those blockchain versions, which were one of ones that are crazy money. Like the real versions of the first blockchain cards. I think they're national treasures. Oh man, those things are expensive.
Gosh, the past few days I've actually specifically been looking at the blockchain ones just to kind of understand what is going on here, because I know what blockchain is, right? So what is the advantage to applying this to a card? How do you apply it to cards? Because that's really interesting, and so I don't really know if there is truly blockchain technology behind the cards, because what's happening with a lot of blockchain, you got to kind of be careful, because some companies, what they're doing is they're making blockchain-esque things, like in the banking world. They're not blockchain, but they're calling it blockchain. And so I don't know enough. I haven't done enough research about the technology specifically, but from what I have seen with what Panini has explained, I do see that there's value in that, because it helps keep you from buying fake cards. And
it does.
You can see the history of who sold what to whom, and
yep.
you know
exactly what that person paid for, except if you pulled it from the flawless packs.
Yes.
So there's a certain advantage to if you redeemed a card. You're the starting point, man. I mean, you control this whole. I mean, depending on what level that card is, you control it. You are in your hands. A normal person can control something that's worth a ton of money. It's just craziness. And I was buying them when people were wanting to basically throw them away, because I was like, well, I'm gonna just get the biggest players I can find. Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield. I went out and bought all of them. And
all OU players except for Mahomes, but I can't remember. He went to LSU maybe, but Kyler Murray, OU, Baker Mayfield, OU. Sooners.
I love Kyler Murray, man. I bought that kid's rookie card, or the draft rookie card. I think there's only one 9.5, and there's only like a couple cards left. But I remember watching film on him, and I was like, this kid's going to do amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Then they signed Hopkins, and you guys have seen what's happened since then.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's so much fun. I love watching my OU players. They're really good. And for a time I was actually buying some Baker Mayfield cards, just because I mean I figured he'd be it was really cool to see what he did with the team when he was with the Sooners. I mean they didn't even recruit him. He just like kind of came on and tried out and got on the team. I think he came originally from Texas A&M, I think, and left that program. I want to say it was Texas A&M. Anyways, but yeah, it was really cool to see what he did with the team, and he had like this kind of energy about him that was just really cool. So, I mean, I appreciated the player. I appreciated him as a player, and I wanted to see him grow as a professional. So, I'm like, let me grab a few cards.
Exactly. You're buying pieces of this guy's career, and there's very few football players that bring the excitement that Trevor Lawrence is bringing. This kid's wild, man.
Yeah.
Like I said it to you earlier. I mean, this kid's a walking Head and Shoulders commercial. I mean,
he
Jesus.
really is. God.
Oh my God, this kid's endorsements are alone. I mean, did you see what Joe Burrow's were before he even touched the field?
Mm-hmm.
The hype that's going to come from this kid is going to be something that we haven't seen in a long time. I mean, there's hype for guys like Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. Right. These guys came into for it. This kid's he's coming in like the Zion guy. Like he's got some big shoes to fill, but he's got the fundamentals there. He's got a good character. He knows how to handle being in the limelight. He's been doing it since high school. I mean, Jesus.
Right.
But that's why I was buying his cards. I bought 2 of them. And second I saw that big one get listed, there was a huge money one. Granted, it's a big money card. Like they put it up for like $600,000. I knew there was going to be value. That's a lot of money. I don't necessarily think this card's $600,000 yet.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where this card can start to gravitate towards. Because I mean, his autographs were like $1,000. When I bought my 101, it was very early on. I mean, it was close to 1,000. And after I got the one for my dad the other day, everyone's gone.
Yeah.
There wasn't a single autograph left. I mean, that's crazy.
It's so crazy. And part of that makes me really happy, but it makes me a little sad that because they're a part of the NCAA, they don't see a dime. They'll see
plenty of money.
He will, I know. I'm one of those people that it's like these kids who don't make it pro, that deal with injuries after the fact, and they have to deal with all the health issues that they have. Yep. I just really wish that they benefited a little bit more than just the education. I know they say, well, they're getting an education, but I think it's a little more than that. They're putting their bodies on the line,
Yeah, but this is the sport they choose to play. I love playing baseball, and I love doing these things, and this is what they're here to do. You got to compete. You want to compete with the best, you got to train like you're going to compete with the best. And the risk that's coming. That's not, you're taking a risk when you go to try to play sports, in college. You got to perform.
Right.
And there's certain players that stand out when they do it. There's certain players that take it and they go, holy crap, man. Like this kid's just naturally good. I mean, the kid's amazing.
He's a junior, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
He's a junior,
I think there's talks of him going to the Jets and all different kinds of things. But I think that's going to be a story people start to follow for the next couple, especially as we get towards next draft year. I think it's going to be wild.
I'm sure he already has an agent, right?
I'm sure he does.
I'm sure he does because he can already go. He can already get drafted. He doesn't have to graduate.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
And it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And what I like that you kind of do is it sounds like obviously Trevor Lawrence is, I mean, it's still prospecting. And I did a little bit of prospecting.
This could fail tomorrow.
I mean. Yeah. When it came to baseball, I did some prospecting with like Gavin Lux, who's got some like really valuable cards out there. Lucas Giolito, I think I spent like $5 on an auto and it's worth like 25 now, which that's been really great. Walter Franco, he's definitely shaping up to be like a really good ball player. I don't know how much you've been following like those careers and stuff like that, but prospecting is really fun. I really like trying to find, and in all honesty, I don't know that much about baseball to be like, that guy's going to be amazing. Like I'm not that person that can call out a Mike Trout, right?
you got to know your sport, right? I don't go into baseball. I don't talk about baseball because I know nothing about how that works, right? I just know the big guys. Like anybody else
Right.
coming into any hobby, I'm like the guy coming in looking at the Charizard, right? I don't know a damn thing about a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
But football, I know. You know,
Mm-hmm.
football. If you played fantasy football, you can play the card game, right? I mean,
You
you're
can pick the
playing their
right players.
season. You're
Yeah.
playing. If you would pick Trevor Lawrence next year in a draft because you knew what this kid's potential was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can that fail? Yes,
Yes.
it can. But you know what? That's the chance you take. And
If you're willing to
anybody, it's
make
just
it.
about the amount of people that are willing to take that chance. You know, I could
Mm-hmm.
lose $1,000 on Trevor Lawrence. $1,000, yeah, it sucks, but that's the game you play. You know, it's if you're gonna try to get in early, make the right choices, know what you're buying, and just ride it out.
Yeah, and the other thing too is you really enjoy watching him as a player. You've obviously enjoyed seeing him grow with him being on Clemson, and kind of helping grow that program too. I'm sure, like,
Yeah,
so even if he doesn't work out, you still have a car that you
yeah.
enjoy, and you
I
enjoyed
still
that
have a
part of your
part of my
life.
life that I still have another lesson I learned. That's what I have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the end of the day, every failed card is just a lesson. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's what didn't I see? I
Mm-hmm.
gotta go back and go, what did I miss? What about
Mm.
this was why this didn't work out? If I just go, damn, you know, it sucked, move on.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but guys like this that have, you know, not only the skills to play on the field, but have the personality to handle the media and the personality to, you know, be likable. And it's a
Yeah.
lot.
You
Not a
know,
lot come across like that.
and like the other thing too is especially to see that he has so much, I don't want to call it hype because I mean obviously he has true talent, right? But then comparing him to like other players, like you said, Patrick Mahomes and a Tom Brady who wasn't a top 5 pick. I think Tom Brady was like a not even a top 10. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
he's low.
He was low, and then he turned out like how many championships
Yeah.
now?
And
You know?
you can't always tell, you know, but sometimes you get the rare opportunities where these first round draft picks have something. And, you know, that's where it comes back to. If you haven't watched film on them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, then you have no backing for why you're trying to invest in them. You know, you got to do the work.
Yeah.
You know, hype is just an indicator. You know, you can use that term. You shouldn't base anything off of, you know, hype, but you can use
Mm-hmm.
that as a signal to go, all right, something's there. You know, people are
Like a
excited
flag.
about this. Yeah, it draws some attention. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
figure out what it is, figure out when to not buy it, and figure out when everyone panics.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're sitting back going, okay, now it's time. You know, now it's time
Yeah.
to start buying up that vintage stuff. Now it's time to start when people are panicked that their nine isn't worth $100,000 because they spent a ton of money because they didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
That panic kicks in, you know, and eventually there's going to be some people that fold, you know,
Yeah.
so this market's a big up and down. This isn't, you know,
Mm-hmm. That's why you got to stay the course and you got to see it 5, 10, 20 years from now. Like,
yeah. And you know, I'm not going to own everything. I'm not going to own every card, just cards that I'm bummed that I don't have, but onward and upward, man. I mean, it's just, you can't catch them all. Like you literally can't do that. You'll go
no.
broke.
Yeah. Yeah. For real.
Unless you're an incredible card salesman. Well, at that point, you're probably not going to hold on to them for very long, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that's a clever term they use that doesn't help you in this field.
No, definitely not. But I've been kind of curious for myself because like what you've been harking back to, like every single like with everything that we said, see the patterns, like what's going on. Oh, this is doing this. That's a flag. One thing that I've seen, and I know you don't dabble too much into baseball, but I've also seen it with football. This year, 2020, everything's sold out as well. Like, it's been hard to find Pokemon ETBs. It's been also hard to find packs
Oh my
and
God.
boxes
Football was
of
gone
baseball and
before. I
football.
mean, it was like basketball, football, and they just started pinging off, right? And then basketball
Mm-hmm.
slowed down a little bit and, people panicked, but it is what it is. But
Mm-hmm.
football, man, it's just every box has just gone up in value because they only print so many of them, of the hobby boxes. And they know what they got. They know people are selling these for crazy money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's $2,000 for Panini Prism right now. Like that just
God.
got listed on
Mm-hmm.
Panini for the first off the line. I mean, oh my God.
God.
I went to the store. I think it was Newberry Comics because I knew they had sold, some hobby packs, and I think it was Mosaic. And I was like, "How much for that? For the football pack?" It was $100. He's like, "No, 75." I'm like, Oh my God! For one pack, all right. This is the odds of you getting the autograph are not even that great, and you're going to shell out $75.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yikes!
Yeah.
I mean, God. I mean, if you're going to spend money, spend it on a box that's guaranteeing you're going to get 2 autographs in that for that price point.
For sure.
Year before that, it was like $15. I was getting like some of the Panini football cards for it. It was like mind blowing.
It's crazy. One like about a month ago, like I had saw pretty much everything. Baseball was gone. Topps, Bowman, gone. There were only 3 packs left of football, and I'm like, there's something here. I'm gonna buy these packs, and I'm not gonna open them. I'm gonna just buy them, and I'm gonna sit on them and see what happens with these packs. I can't remember. I think they've got to be Donruss, is what I'm thinking that they are. I can't even remember off the top of my head. I don't know too much about football cards, to be honest, but
And that's the thing, because of football and because of YouTube and being able to actually see all of these people open the product without you having to spend any money on it, like you can learn exactly what the risk is. So I think the sealed products are going to start to go up because there's a lot of smart people who are like, why on earth would I open this when I could just hold on to it and it still goes up? Like, it's just, if the pull rate isn't good enough, keep it sealed.
It's going to be worth more sealed than it will be opened. You know,
but it's hard to see it sit there, and you can use it for other things. You could use that same box to get viewers, you could use it to get attention. So it depends on what value you're getting out of that product. And there's multiple things now opposed to just a card.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I didn't think about it that way. I mean, that's 100% true. Couldn't
I mean, we're all little commercials, right? I mean, every single time you post about a picture of a Pokemon card, you're just doing it over. They don't even have to do it anymore. They're like, all right, we don't even need commercials. We'll just let these guys do it over and over again.
Honestly, Pokemon really doesn't. Bowman really doesn't. Topps definitely doesn't. Like, those cards are standard. You know what's so funny too? Talking about the different brands of cards, like even in the sports world. When you talk to old school guys, right? They grew up buying the Bowmans and they grew up buying the Topps and Gold Leafs, all those guys. They have no respect for Panini at all whatsoever. But you see so many cool things Panini's doing. Like, I love the cards. They're great. Those prisms are awesome. I bought a few of them. Hey, Joe, I can't hear your audio anymore for some reason. Let me see if it's me. Can you talk a little bit for me? Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. That was weird.
My headphones just like gave out on me.
Oh, crap.
All right. Well, can you hear me all right still?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Well, what were we talking about?
We were talking about Panini and how people were trashing on Panini. But Panini's been doing some cool stuff.
Yeah, they've been doing some cool stuff. They've adapted and they're changing to a different, demographic of people. I mean,
they don't appeal to old heads.
Yes, they don't have to though. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. It's like you're gonna get left behind. That's just what happens, right? I don't think Pokemon will be the biggest thing for every age group for the rest of time, but blockchain or Fortnite might be. Blockchain might be, or Fortnite might be what gets my son excited. And whether I like it or not, these are trends. These are hobbies. These are things that a very certain group really touch their lives with it.
Yeah. It'll be really fun. It'll be really cool to see what happens with those blockchain cards. My kind of thought is that maybe blockchain doesn't really hit until 20, 30 years out. I don't know. That's a really long time frame that like I'm kind of feeling that way, but I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens. Only time will tell.
To go off. This is very new technology. NFTs are very new. You buy artwork, you buy all kinds of things, and I think more once people delve into actually going into these virtual worlds,
Mm-hmm.
that's where this type of stuff will have value.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go into your virtual house and put a picture of your virtual artwork on the wall and
Yeah, that'll be so awesome.
things that can happen, you know, and it's we might not know. I mean,
Yeah.
but the hollow part of it, and maybe something good will happen, right?
Yeah, that's very true. Like, I remember, I don't know how many years ago it was now, but it was kind of recent. So I don't know, maybe less than 5. People were kind of, harping about VR, which VR is totally cool. Like, it's gonna be a thing. It's gonna once VR really truly hits, it's gonna hit, right? But that's like, probably 80 years from now. I don't know. There's not that adaptation. I mean, we will at least see, we're seeing augmented reality and we're seeing some VR games. I mean, crap. I was watching footage of the VR Alex game made by Valve, the Half-Life, and it was making me sick just watching footage of it. I didn't even have a headset on, and it was
We're not
making me
even gonna
sick.
have a handle, but these kids are gonna be like, "Here, try it out." I mean, what are you, you old? Like you can't. I mean, that's just it's the nature of the beast, you know. Just
Yeah.
because we like it, most of the time means they're not gonna like it. But virtual reality's there, and COVID's done some work for that too. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
people
Oh, yeah.
it's
Oh,
not going there. I mean, like I said, these are all little catalysts that bring attention to this. Whether it goes away or it stays, and figure it out. Like, attention's been brought here.
yeah.
So,
And now that it's here, like, it's going to fundamentally change things. I mean, what's been happening this year, 2020, you're never going to forget this year. That's for sure. You remember where you are every step of the way. You were at home because of COVID. But
what were you doing? What were you
buying
searching
Pokemon.
eBay for Pokemon card deals? Like, I think a lot of people were,
Hell yeah.
and a lot of people were looking for these guys. These champions path. It's
Mm-hmm.
this is the 1996 Charizard for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
That one's gone, but this was the one that you could actually have gotten.
Right.
That you could have actually gotten your hands on if you were lucky, and been lucky enough to pull.
And like what you were saying, the patterns, as an adult, now that you have disposable income, you're not going to pass on that opportunity. You're going to at least try. Whether you get it or not, you're going to try because you know.
But it took 3 years of following this before I ever started making bigger moves. I bought one card, followed it for 3 years.
That is some discipline.
This plan to do, the display case
Mm-hmm.
and do all this. I knew I wanted to do something. I wanted to make a page where you could see what I had, and you could see that it was treated like it was what it was treated, what it was. There's these things are going to be in a museum at some point. They are a piece of art for a generation of people, whether you like it or not. That's how they should be viewed. I don't know anything that's $350,000 that you don't look at in some type of glorified way. I mean, it's
right. All right. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit of a hater. Like, my mom, like the display case that you have behind you, right? Like, whenever you go to like old people or older generations, like everyone's got one in their house, right? And they put their crystal or whatever. And I always talk a little bit of smack with my mom because to me in my head, I'm like, whenever I do finally get a house, what am I going to do that for? It seems like an old people thing to do, but honestly, I am going to get one of those and I'm going to do what you do. I'm going to put Pokemon cards in it.
I like to see people that, when you buy this stuff, you should want to feel confident in your buying. You should want to see it treated with respect. It's one thing to be a seller. It's another thing to collect in a set of cards. And, whoever I sell this to at some point, I want this to be as easy as possible. I want them to know what they're getting. And the fact that you've seen it all this time,
mm-hmm.
how it's in your hands. It's something that you're buying. You can literally put a price tag on it and you can buy attention with it. It's crazy. And it's whatever you do with that that's important. You got guys like Collectible Guru, who's a perfect character for people to hate. But the reality is, he worked this hustle pretty well, man. He made.
Wait, is that the crypto guy that went?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I've not been following him. I know of him.
About the fake boxes and all this stuff.
Yeah. Oh god, I saw the video where like they're outside and he's got all his Pokemon cards on a. It's so cringy.
But it's so cringy, but it makes people watch it, and he made plenty from it. Like he did it, like whether you like it or not. And that's the thing. Like, you're gonna deal with that in any market you ever go to.
And
there's certain
there was certain value to that because he was the one that people were seeing these prices for, and also got some attention. You know, there's whether
Mm-hmm.
you hate him or love him, it brought attention.
Right,
And it
right.
showed people these were worth money, and he was selling them for this amount of money.
Yeah, yeah.
In person, he was flying to people, showing you the cash. Like he's showing you this market that is
That is there.
only been online and only in screens in real life, whether it's true or not, or whatever the hell happens, I don't care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is what it is. If you want to spend your day worrying about him, do it. But he's making plenty of money, and you could be learning other things, opposed to being so worried about this guy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. People are gonna do what they're gonna do. I don't know. I mean, like I think maybe at the end of the day, like when you do buy something and then you sell it to somebody, you got to make sure that it's good. That's my only thing. Like that resale box, that was kind of a big mistake. Actually, I was talking when I was talking with Going Twice. We were talking about how, I mean, the FBI in those fraud cases, like with trimmings and things like that, in the sports card world, they step in, and so we're actually kind of surprised that for the price point that this thing is at now.
That is pretty amazing. I mean, but that's why sealed stuff makes me nervous.
Mm-hmm.
You're just resealing a plastic bag. You can have every expert in the world, you can't see in it.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you believe him or don't believe anybody, it can happen to any of us. I mean, you've seen multiple YouTubers who pop open the box, lo and behold, this is security from 1990. These boxes now you could see the cards in them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Pokemon adjusted because they're making stuff that is easily manipulated, and who's to tell if you're buying a real one or not unless you open it up.
Right.
So you could buy it sealed and not have any idea for 20 years. Next thing you know, it's worth it.
I'm waiting until like PSA, well, until BGSA starts grading packs, but then also when PSA and BGS start grading boxes. That'll be interesting.
I'm surprised they haven't. I gotta be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they would look inside of them unless their process was to remove the seal and open the box, but that would crease the box.
Yeah.
So it's just a very weird, I don't know, item to gamble with. It's a $50,000 box. The odds are a lot higher you're gonna get scammed than buying a PSA or BGS graded card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It just is what it is. But those boxes you've seen multiple people. Every box has been opened. Just pull the Charizard, a Blastoise, Venusaur, like they're all in there.
Seriously, those
your odds are good. You're gonna get that stuff, but that's what it was. It wasn't enough people buying it. They needed people to get them, so they didn't make it scarce. They made it, scarce in different ways by getting older and making them hard to find. But they had to transition into making these harder to get to make value.
Right.
People eat that stuff up. Modern stuff.
Seriously. And the other thing too was, Wizards of the Coast isn't involved anymore. So like that also plays a difference as well. Because I mean, I want to say that I've heard people smarter than me say that, WotC obviously had a lot of control over things. And so they had a particular way of doing stuff, but they were also like, obviously they had the experience of Magic the Gathering to take some of those lessons and apply it to printing Pokemon, but also it's still like something in its own right, and so it takes a set or two to get into a groove of what works, what doesn't work. So
oh my gosh, yes. I mean, you could have came in when you were getting all of the terms of evasion, all that stuff. That's just it's hard to turn anything out of those. It's
yeah.
But if you got it at the right time and you realize, holy crap, this isn't as easy as it looks. I can't just come in here now that I'm 26 and I got some extra cash and pull out a banger. Like, no, it's still
you can't just buy 2 boxes and expect a pull.
Difficulty never went away. It just always has been there. They've made this card hard to get its entire life.
Mm-hmm.
It controls everything, except for different tiers. Different tiers control different amounts.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I definitely agree. On that. So then with the oh shit, what did you just buy? I keep on wanting to say evolutions. You bought burning shadows. So are you going to keep those sealed? Are you going to open them? What are you going to do with them?
Are you kidding me? I opened more burning shadows and I'm getting nothing. I will never open those again. I mean, I'm not saying don't do it. I mean, but Jesus, those pull rates are hard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. I almost knew whenever I got them, I'm like, I'm not getting this thing, but maybe I'll get, one of the other Charizards or something. To this day, I still have got nothing. So
just put those in the display case and watch them grow.
And just let them grow.
Yeah. Seriously. Well, crap. We've been on. This has gone now for 2 hours and 13 minutes. It's gone by hella fast. So, like, I think we should do part 2 at some point. Like, I'm not saying like let's stop right now, but like obviously there's so much that we could still continue to talk about. So I'm kind of curious. I want to put the ball in your court. Like, what are some things that maybe you haven't talked about yet that you kind of want to let newer investors know about the hobby? Or have you already hit all your points?
Up until currently, I mean, you gotta see what's just coming out. Like Pikachu's another big character. I mean, what I just saw today was the pull rate for the rainbow, or I'll just call it the rainbow Pikachu. It's pretty tough, man. It's like, I think I saw somewhere it was 1 in 1,000. That's like up where the Burning Shadows Charizard was. I mean, that's a tough pull rate. I mean, granted, you got 36 packs in a booster box, but it's certainly not an easy task. And he's also a big character, Pikachu and Charizard.
Do you get your pull rate info from Pokemon, like Nintendo?
All over the place. I watch YouTube. I just get somewhat of an average. And then, there's also, back when I could go out and buy the cards, I'd have to buy them and see really how
kind
hard
of get an idea. Yeah.
But you got to do a little bit of everything. You got to, give it a shot. If you want to really start to learn, go see what it is. Go, don't buy craziness, but, get some packs, see what you get, see if there's anything else in there you like, and then figure out what are the cards for this set that are different. What are the cards that are going to draw attention that are overlooked, or cards that could be value somewhere else. Like,
right. Do some research and, live in the dirt, because that's pretty much what you do. That's pretty much what I do. Probably not as much as you do.
You gotta go out.
No joke on that.
See that there's nothing on the shelves. Don't just take people's words. Go live it. Go out there and see the people that are waiting.
See
go
it
out
for
there
yourself.
And see the people that are actually. I mean, if you go there 10 times and you still haven't found a Champion's Path box,
that means something.
These things, Pokemon cards have not done that in a very long time. I don't even know when they've done that. I mean, there's never a time a set came out and I just couldn't find it anywhere. I mean, it was just always excess on the shelves,
Would you believe me if I told you that the Burning Shadows that I have, the ETB, I bought from Target earlier this year? It was on sale because they couldn't get it off the shelf. It was $34.99.
I was telling my friends, I'm like, oh my God, guys, you guys are going to miss out on this. You guys have no idea.
You don't.
This thing has just got so much behind it. And, people just weren't paying attention. They saw the evolutions and they saw all this. But if you're new to it, you don't know. You don't know that Charizard is something that started some other totally different variation of Charizard that people are now hunting, and this is the next generation, the next generation of the sought after cards.
So for you, the thing that really gets your wheels turning is the hunt for those really scarce cards. Yes. That's it for you.
That people can afford, right? Not all, but like that. I can go out and buy a $10 box of cards because I know that how this works. Yeah, you're a nobody, or you don't have anything to do with this, but you can actually make something off of it. You can learn that there is value here, and you're not just spending your entire time doing this, failing. It's part of learning, but these are a lot of money now, and you just got to learn what you're doing.
Yeah. No, 100%. So, I guess what we could do now is, if you have any parting thoughts, we can go ahead and and I guess maybe even before, I guess, do you have any parting thoughts then? Or are those kind of your just like last parting thoughts for newer investors, people getting into it?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I think it's going to be exciting going forward. I just think, remember to take a breath before, you jump into it.
Yeah.
Just breathe. They're not going anywhere. I mean, they might be hard to find, but eBay is a big place. Scalpers get burnt out. It's just the nature of the beast. But
for sure.
Almost always, these things go like this, and then they come down. And then this zone is where you want to start thinking about it. I think you can get the shiny V Charizard from Champion's Path now for like $400. I think it was $2,000 $2,700 when it was coming out. Like, that's the dramatic price shifts that happen with this stuff. But just because it's low now doesn't mean it's going to stay that way forever. There's a backing and a pattern that's been happening it's bigger than just that card. These shiny rainbow cards are something,
Right.
So, I don't have the shiny D up there now because I don't own it, but I don't own it at the time. I got other stuff that I purchased.
Yeah.
Still show the pattern the way that I do.
Yeah, for sure. I know those spikes and those drops really scare people. And that's why people are like, we're still in a bubble. Well,
It's just the way we move, it's it's understanding that this happens. It's understanding that there is this euphoria, there's this horrified moment, and then it levels out, and then it just starts to kind of gradually go. You have to just feel the weight. You have to. Doesn't matter if you bought it when it first came out and it drops. It'll get back there at some point if you buy the right cards.
Yeah.
But, just freak out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. People are for sure freaking out.
Granted, if you're going in and you're spending $50K on a Pokemon card, like, I'd hope you were doing more research than looking at what was on eBay.
And not necessarily just taking someone's word for it, random person on the internet.
But jamming it down your throat that you need to buy these things usually is not the best time to buy it. I mean, granted, I show a lot of these modern ones, but you've seen the price action. They're nothing crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
They're starting to creep, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, but I mean, yeah, it's been great to have you on. Holy crap. I can't believe how fast our time is going. So I definitely want to bring you on for, however many times you want to be on, because it's just fun talking about the hobby. So I guess, where can people find you? Where do you want people to find you?
Just find my Instagram, Modern Card One, and you'll see my display case. And just what I do with it is, just the things that I post are all kind of just what's going on in my head, right? Like the things that I'm posting are usually there's something or a reason why I'm posting this. So I'm not posting this just because I'm going to show you my cool card. Like there's sometimes there's value. Like I posted a picture of that Mewtwo when it was $10. It was like, guys, Evolutions is going. This one you can only get here. It's a $10 risk.
Just buy it.
Just give it a shot.
Yeah.
You don't have to buy it.
100%.
These are the things you start to look for. Staff cards, all this stuff. Learn why the staff cards are valuable, how to get them.
Do your research. Educate yourself. So, yeah. Well, hey, thank you so much again. And I'm going to put links in the show notes for everything for you. So, hit him up on Instagram. This is going to be great. Thank you so much. Have a good night, and we'll be talking continuously. So, yeah.
And that round 2.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Bye.